The appraiser's hands trembled as he held the magnifying glass to the stones. "Miss Torres, these aren't glass. These are uncut diamonds. Burmese rubies. And unless I'm mistaken, several of these are imperial jades from the Qing dynasty." He looked up at Nina, his face pale. "Where did you say you found these?" "In my uncle's radio," Nina whispered. "The battery compartment." But that conversation was still 3 weeks away. 3 weeks earlier, Nina sat on the floor of her studio apartment, sorting bills into piles. Overdue, very overdue, and disconnection notice. The math was simple and devastating. Rent, $1,240, due yesterday. Electric bill, $340, final notice. Her bank account, $67.89. Her shifts at Rosewood Bakery covered food, barely. Her weekend data entry gig kept the lights on. Usually. Her phone rang. Her brother Marcus. "You coming to Uncle Ray's estate thing tomorrow? Lawyer says we gotta be there in person." Nina pressed her forehead against her knees. The bus to Uncle Ray's town was $23 round trip. She had exactly one shift tomorrow afternoon she couldn't miss. "What time?" 10 a.m. "Try not to dress like you're about to clean someone's house." He laughed. "Oh wait, that's literally what you do? See you there, poverty princess." He hung up before she could respond. Nina looked at her daughter, Sophia, asleep on the pull-out couch, her inhaler on the side table. 7 years old and already rationing dreams because mom couldn't afford the real ones. The walls of their apartment were so thin Nina could hear the neighbor's TV through the drywall. The carpet was stained with previous tenants' lives. The window looked onto a brick wall. She calculated. Skip the bus, walk 4 miles to the train. Skip lunch. Make the shift by 2 p.m. It could work. The lawyer's office smelled like lemon polish and old money. Marcus wore designer sunglasses pushed up into his hair. Nina's sister Vanessa had a fresh manicure, each nail a tiny work of art. Nina had come straight from the bakery, flowers still dusting the hem of her jeans, her hair in the same ponytail she'd worn for 3 days. "Thank you for coming," Mr. Henshaw said, opening a folder. "Raymond Torres's estate is modest but clear. To Marcus Torres, I leave my 2016 Toyota Camry and my tool collection. To Vanessa Torres Klein, I leave my savings account and coin collection. To Nina Torres." Nina felt their eyes on her. She'd kept her married name after Javier left, after he'd maxed out their credit cards and vanished. It felt like evidence she'd once been worth loving. "I leave my personal effects and the contents of my apartment at Sunset Mobile Home Park, Unit 47. Silence. "Personal effects," Vanessa said. "What does that mean?" Mr. Henshaw consulted his notes. "Furniture, clothing, books, miscellaneous household items." Mr. Torres was quite specific. "Everything in the apartment goes to Nina." Marcus snorted. "The junk apartment. Jesus, Uncle Ray, even dead you're playing favorites raw." "How much is in the savings account?" Vanessa asked. $43,000. The coin collection has been appraised at roughly $18,000. And the car's worth at least 12 grand, Marcus added. He turned to Nina with mock sympathy. "Hey, maybe there's a nice lamp in there. You could use some light in that dungeon you live in." Nina said nothing. She'd learned silence was safer than defense. Mr. Henshaw slid a key across the desk. "The mobile home is paid off, but there's a $340 monthly lot fee. You have 60 days to clear the contents before the park reclaims the unit." $340. The exact amount of her electric bill. That afternoon, Nina stood outside Unit 47 as the sun beat down on the metal roof. The mobile home was small, maybe 600 square feet, its white paint yellowing with age. Uncle Ray had lived here alone for 30 years after Aunt Carmen died. Nina had visited exactly twice, once at 12, once at 16. He'd always seemed kind in a distant way, like a character from a book she'd only half read. The key turned. The door opened. Inside was a museum of ordinary life. A plaid couch worn smooth at the armrests. A kitchen table with 2 chairs. Bookshelves crammed with paperbacks, mysteries, mostly, their spines creased from reading. A bedroom with a bed made so precisely the blanket corners could cut glass. And everywhere, on every surface, a thin layer of dust that caught the light like snow. Nina's phone buzzed. Sophia's after-school program. Pick up by 6 p.m. or $25 late fee. She had 2 hours. She moved fast, opening drawers, checking closets. Clothes, donate. Books, donate. Kitchen items, sell at yard sale, maybe get $50. In the bedroom, Uncle Ray's nightstand held reading glasses, a watch that had stopped at 317, and a stack of National Geographic magazines from 1987. Under the bed, a cardboard box. Inside, a radio. Mina pulled it out carefully. It was heavy, substantial, made of dark wood with a fabric speaker grill and brass dials. The brand name was worn off. Dust coated it so thick she had to blow it away, sending motes dancing in the shaft of sunlight from the window. She turned it over. The battery compartment door was stuck. Her phone buzzed again. She needed to go. She tucked the radio under her arm. She'd always liked old radios, their aesthetic weight, and locked up. On the bus home, she held the radio in her lap, running her thumb over the smooth wood. It was probably worthless, but it had been Uncle Ray's, and unlike Marcus's Camry or Vanessa's savings account, it was hers. Sophia was waiting at pickup, sitting on the curb with her backpack. "You're late," the program director said. "That's $25, I know. I'll pay Friday." Mina took Sophia's hand. At home, Mina set the radio on their tiny kitchen counter. Sophia poked at it curiously. "Does it work?" "I don't know, baby. The battery door is stuck." She should have been making dinner. Should have been starting her data entry shift. Instead, she found a butter knife and carefully worked it into the seam of the battery compartment. The door was really stuck. Corrosion, maybe, or just decades of neglect. She pried harder. The door popped open, and something fell out onto the counter with a sound like rain. Stones. Dozens of them. Spilling out in a cascade of color, green, red, clear, blue. They rolled across the formica like scattered marbles, catching the overhead light, throwing tiny rainbows across the walls. Sophia gasped. "Mom, what are those?" Mina picked one up. It was the size of a grape, rough cut, the green so deep it looked like solidified jumble. Another was blood red, perfectly smooth. A clear one caught the light and fractured it into stars. They couldn't be real, could they? Mina's hands shook as she gathered them, counting. 47 stones. Some small, some large. All heavy with a weight that felt significant. Her phone buzzed. "Marcus, picking up the Camry tomorrow. Gonna sell it and upgrade." Finally something good from the old man. Mina stared at the stones scattered across her counter. At the radio with its secret compartment. At Uncle Ray's ordinary life that maybe hadn't been ordinary at all. She opened her laptop and started Googling. Her screen filled with images. Uncut gemstones, identification guides, appraisal services. The websites all said the same thing. Seek professional authentication. Do not attempt to clean or alter stones. At 2 a.m., Sophia asleep and her data entry shift abandoned, Mina sat surrounded by gemstone articles. Her eyes burned. Her electric bill sat unpaid. But in a sandwich bag on the table, 47 stones waited. And for the first time since Javier left, since the evictions and disconnection notices and 70-hour work weeks, Mina felt something flicker in her chest. Not hope exactly. Possibility. The gemologist's office was in a part of town Mina had only seen from bus windows. Brownstones with window boxes, cafes with outdoor seating, people walking dogs that probably cost more than her rent. She'd called 6 places before finding Dr. Sarah Chun, who offered free preliminary assessments. Mina had brought 3 stones in the sandwich bag, leaving the rest hidden in her apartment in a box of tampons. The one place she trusted Javier would never have looked, and therefore the one place that still felt safe. Dr. Chun was younger than Mina expected, maybe 40, with precise hands and a jeweler's loop around her neck. She took the bag without ceremony and emptied it onto a black velvet tray. Then she went very still. "Miss Torres, where did you acquire these?" "My uncle's radio. He died 3 weeks ago. They were in the battery compartment." Mina's voice sounded small in the elegant office. "Are they? Could they be?" Dr. Chin picked up the green stone, the largest one, with tweezers. She examined it under magnification, then under a bright light, then with some kind of handheld device that glowed purple. Her breathing changed. "This is jadeite. Imperial jadeite, unless I'm very wrong, which I'm not." She set it down with reverence and picked up the red stone. "This is Burmese ruby. Uncut. Probably pre-1990s based on the inclusion patterns." The clear stone. "Diamond. Rough diamond, maybe 8 carats." Mina felt the room tilt. "Are you saying?" "I'm saying you need to bring me the rest immediately. All of them." And Miss Torres. Dr. Chin's eyes were bright with something Mina recognized from movies, but had never seen in real life. Hunger. Professional hunger. The excitement of discovery. Don't tell anyone about this yet. Not family. Not friends. Not until we know what we're dealing with. If you want to see what Mina does next, subscribe now, because her siblings are about to learn what real value looks like. Mina brought all 47 stones the next day, calling in sick to both jobs. Dr. Chun had assembled a team, another gemologist, a historian specializing in Asian antiquities, and someone from an auction house whose card said simply acquisitions. They worked for 6 hours. Mina sat in the waiting room, drinking bad coffee, watching the clock tick towards Sophia's pickup time, toward her unpaid bills, toward the 60-day deadline to clear Uncle Ray's mobile home. Finally, Dr. Chin emerged. Her face was flushed. "We need to sit down." In the conference room, the stones were laid out on individual trays, each labeled with terms Mina didn't understand. Type II diamond, 8.3 carats. Imperial jadeite, 47 millimeters. Pigeon's blood ruby, 12 carats. Ms. Torres, Dr. Chin began. Your uncle's collection represents approximately 60 years of careful acquisition. Based on the variety and sourcing, he was purchasing stones from estate sales, pawn shops, and possibly underground markets. Some of these are conflict-free vintage stones from before modern certification. Others are antique cuts that haven't been seen in circulation for decades. The historian leaned forward. Several of the jade pieces are from the Qing dynasty, likely removed from China during the Cultural Revolution. They're not just valuable, they're culturally significant. How valuable? Mina's voice cracked. Dr. Chen opened a folder. Conservative auction estimate, assuming proper marketing and authentication, $206 million. The number hung in the air like something solid. Mina heard it, but couldn't process it. $200 million. That can't be right. It's conservative, the acquisition specialist said. The largest diamond alone could bring $30 million at auction. The Imperial Jade collection could fetch $80 million from private Chinese collectors. The rubies, the sapphires, the other diamonds. Ms. Torres, your uncle assembled one of the most significant private gemstone collections we've ever evaluated outside of royal holdings. Mina stood up, sat back down. Her hands were shaking so hard she had to grip the edge of the table. "I have $67 in my checking account," she said. "I'm 3 weeks behind on rent. My daughter needs a new inhaler, and I've been stretching the old one. I work at a bakery for $9 an hour. This isn't." Dr. Chen's hand covered hers. "It's real, Nina. Your uncle left you a fortune, but we need to be smart about this. If word gets out before we have security measures in place, you could be in danger. The stones need to go into a vault today. You need a lawyer. You need to decide how you want to proceed. Auction, private sale, museum donation for some pieces." "I need to pick up my daughter," Mina whispered. She took an Uber, her first Uber in 3 years, and arrived at pickup with 10 minutes to spare. Sophia ran to her, backpack bouncing. "Mom, guess what? Mrs. Anderson said I might get to be in the advanced reading group." Mina hugged her daughter so tight Sophia squeaked. $200 million. Advanced reading group. The juxtaposition was so absurd Nina almost laughed. That night, after Sophia was asleep, Nina sat on the floor with her laptop and searched for Uncle Ray. She found an obituary she'd never seen. Raymond Torres, 77, lifelong bachelor, retired postal worker, avid reader, and rockhound. Preceded in death by wife Carmen Torres. Survived by nieces and nephews. Rockhound. The word glowed on the screen. She searched Raymond Torres Rockhound and found a forum post from 2003. "Anyone know Ray Torres from New Mexico? Met him at an estate sale in Tucson. Guy's got an incredible eye for rough stones. Bought a box of gravel that turned out to have a 3-carat sapphire in it. Legend." Another post, 2007. "Ray Torres passed through our gem show. Quiet guy. Spent 6 hours looking at loose stones. Didn't buy anything flashy. Said he was building something for someone, but wouldn't say who. For someone." Mina read until her eyes burned. Uncle Ray had spent 60 years hunting stones, learning geology and gemology from library books, traveling to estate sales across the Southwest. He'd lived in a mobile home and driven an old Camry and eaten frozen dinners. And he'd built a fortune in secret, hidden in a radio, waiting. waiting for someone who needed it. Her phone rang. Marcus. So I'm at the mobile home with a truck. Figured I'd help you clear out Uncle Ray's junk. Vanessa's here too. We can donate most of it, maybe get a tax write-off. Mina's heart stopped. Don't touch anything. What? Mina, the place is full of garbage. Old books, busted furniture. I said don't touch anything. Her voice came out sharp. I'm hailing it. I'll be there in 30 minutes. She hung up and called Dr. Chun, who answered on the first ring. They're at the mobile home, Mina said. My siblings. They might find other stones. There might be more hidden. I'm sending a security team now. Don't go alone. But Nina was already grabbing her keys, calling Sophia's neighbor who sometimes babysat, running for the bus because she still couldn't afford a car, and old habits died hard even when you were secretly worth $200 million. She arrived to find Marcus loading boxes into his truck. Vanessa stood in the doorway, holding a stack of Uncle Ray's mystery novels. Finally, Marcus said, Look, we can split whatever we get from the yard sale. There's some okay stuff in here. Nina walked past him into the mobile home. Her hands weren't shaking anymore. Something had crystallized in the Uber ride, in the frantic bus connection, in the 47 stones that represented 60 years of patient work by a man who'd lived small and thought big. Put it back, she said. What? Put everything back. Now. Vanessa laughed. Mina, it's junk. We're doing you a favor. The will said the contents of this apartment are mine. Every book, every dish, every piece of furniture. Mine. So put it back, or I'm calling the police. Marcus's face darkened. Are you serious right now? Over this garbage. A black SUV pulled up outside. 2 men in suits stepped out, followed by Dr. Chun. Miss Torres. Dr. Chun called. We're here to secure the property. Mina turned to her siblings. These people are helping me catalog Uncle Ray's belongings. You need to leave. Both of you. Catalog. Vanessa's eyes narrowed. What's going on? Nothing that concerns you. You got the savings account and the coin collection. Marcus got the Camry. I got this. Now leave. They left, but not without Marcus slamming his truck door hard enough to make the mobile home shake. Dr. Chen's team swept the unit. They found 12 more stones hidden in a coffee can, 8 sewn into the lining of Uncle Ray's winter coat, 15 inside a fake electrical outlet, and in the freezer, wrapped in butcher paper labeled ground beef 1987, a single diamond the size of a quail egg. Sweet Jesus, Dr. Chen whispered. This is a type IIA flawless diamond. This alone is worth 40 million, maybe 50. Mina sat on Uncle Ray's plaid couch and cried. Not from relief or joy, exactly. From the staggering weight of being seen. Uncle Ray had looked at his 3 relatives and chosen the one who'd been overlooked, dismissed, laughed at. He'd left the obvious prizes to the obvious winners. And he'd left the real treasure to the one who'd understand what it meant. Someone had believed she was worth saving. The auction took place 6 months later at Sotheby's, Geneva. Nina sat in the gallery in a tailored suit that fit properly, her hair professionally styled, Sophia beside her in a blue dress with actual crinoline underneath. Dr. Chen sat to Nina's left, squeezing her hand as the auctioneer began. Lot 23, the Torres Collection, Part 1. A flawless type IIA diamond, 47.3 carats, with exceptional provenance. The bidding started at 20 million. Nina watched the numbers climb on the electronic board. 25, 30, 40. Phone bidders from Beijing, private collectors in the room, museum representatives with predetermined limits. When the hammer fell at $53 million, Sophia gasped so loud the row in front of them turned around. Mom, she whispered. That's so much. That's 1 stone, baby. We have 86 more. The Imperial Jade Collection went for 92 million to a private collector in Shanghai. The Burmese rubies brought 40 million. The remaining diamonds, sapphires, and semi-precious stones pushed the final total to $206.7 million before fees. After the auction house took their percentage and taxes claimed their share, Nina walked away with $147 million. But the number didn't matter as much as what she did next. The first call was to Marcus. He answered on the 4th ring. What? I need to tell you something about Uncle Ray's mobile home. She explained it clinically. The stones. The authentication. The auction. With each sentence, Marcus's breathing grew heavier. 147 million, he finally said. From rocks hidden in garbage. From Uncle Ray's life's work, yes. The will should be contested. He was old. He didn't understand what he had. You manipulated. Marcus, Uncle Ray spent 60 years collecting those stones. He chose where they went. And he chose someone who wouldn't waste them on car upgrades and status symbols. Mina paused. I'm buying you out of the Camry, though. $15,000, which is more than it's worth. And I'm paying off your mortgage. Not because you deserve it, but because you're still my brother, and I'm not going to hold grudges when I don't have to anymore. She heard him start to respond, but she hung up gently. Then she called Vanessa and made the same offer. Mortgage paid off, plus enough to fund her kids' college accounts. Vanessa cried, whether from gratitude or resentment. Mina couldn't tell. It didn't matter. Some bridges you don't burn. You just build a better road and stop waiting for people to cross it. 3 months after the auction, Nina stood in the lobby of Rosewood Bakery, not in her work clothes but in jeans and a sweater, holding a folder. Her old manager, Patricia, came out from the kitchen, wiping flour from her hands. Nina, I heard. Everyone's been talking about. Is it true? It's true. Nina smiled. And Patricia, I have a proposal. You've worked here 18 years and Frank pays you $12 an hour with no benefits. I'm buying the bakery. You're going to run it. Real wages. Health insurance. Profit sharing. And we're expanding. A second location in the neighborhood where I used to live, specifically hiring single mothers who need flexible hours. Patricia's hands went to her mouth. You can't, that's two. I can. And I am. Nina handed her the folder. These are the papers. We'll transition over the next 60 days. And Patricia? The recipe for those apple turnovers you created? We're calling them Patricia's Special, with your name on the label. Patricia hugged her so hard Nina's ribs creaked. That afternoon, Nina drove to Sunset Mobile Home Park. Drove in a sensible sedan she'd paid cash for, because some luxuries you earn slowly. Unit 47 sat empty, its lot fee paid for the next 100 years. Nina had decided to keep it exactly as it was, a small museum to Uncle Ray's quiet genius. She unlocked the door and stepped inside. The plaid couch, the mystery novels, the kitchen table where he'd probably sat countless nights, examining stones under a desk lamp, teaching himself gemology from. Library books. On the counter, she'd placed the radio. Empty now, but still beautiful in its worn way. Nina pulled an envelope from her purse, a letter she'd written a dozen times and never sent because there was no address for the dead. Dear Uncle Ray, I don't know if you knew how much I needed saving. Maybe you did. Maybe you watched me struggle and chose to wait until you were gone to help, because you knew I wouldn't accept charity while you were alive. That sounds like you, actually. I've established the Raymond Torres Foundation for Women and Geology. We fund education for women in STEM fields, especially those from low-income backgrounds. We sponsor scholarships. We've partnered with museums to display gemstone collections to the public, not just wealthy collectors. Your stones are teaching thousands of people about earth science, about patience, about seeing value where others see gravel, about a house. For bedrooms, because Sophia deserves space and I want to foster kids who need somewhere safe to land. There's a garden, a real kitchen, windows that look at trees instead of brick. But Uncle Ray, the best part isn't the money. It's knowing that someone looked at me, broke, exhausted, dismissed by everyone including myself, and thought, she's the one. Not Marcus with his easy charm, not Vanessa with her perfect life. Me, the one scrubbing bakery floors at 4 a.m., the one rationing her daughter's inhaler, the one everyone pitied. You saw something in me worth believing in. That's the real inheritance. Thank you for the stones. Thank you for the fortune. But mostly, thank you for believing I could be trusted with something precious. All my love. Nina. She left the letter on the kitchen table, held down by the radio. Some light streamed through the window, catching dust motes in its beam, turning them golden. Outside, Sophia was waiting in the car, reading a book about gemstones, her new obsession. She looked up as Nina approached. Mom, did you know that diamonds are just carbon that got squeezed really, really hard? Nina slid into the driver's seat. I didn't know that. So basically, diamonds are what happens when regular stuff gets put under so much pressure it has to become something amazing. Nina looked at her daughter. This bright, curious girl who'd grown up watching her mother work 3 jobs and never complain. Who'd learned resilience from rationed inhalers and 2 small apartments. Who'd seen her mother dismissed and overlooked and laughed at, and had never once believed those people were right. "Yeah, baby," Mina said, starting the car. "That's exactly what diamonds are." They drove home through the late afternoon sun, past the old neighborhood where Nina had once counted pennies, past the bakery where she'd once scrubbed floors, past the bus stops she'd once waited at in rain and heat and bone-deep exhaustion. But she wasn't that person anymore. Or maybe she was still exactly that person, just with the resources to be her best self, to stop surviving and start living, to build something that mattered from what others had dismissed as worthless, just like Uncle Ray had taught her, just like carbon under pressure, becoming diamonds. At home, Nina hung her keys on the hook by the door, her door, in her house, the one no one could evict her from. Sophia ran upstairs to her room, her own room, with space for books and drawings and dreams. And Nina stood in the kitchen, looking out at the garden where tomatoes grew on vines she'd planted herself. Her phone buzzed. "Dr. Chen, museum acquisition confirmed. The Imperial Jade will be displayed at the Met starting next month. Your uncle's collection will be seen by millions. He'd be proud." Nina smiled and typed back. "He already made me proud. This is just sharing the wealth." She put the phone down and started making dinner. Real dinner, fresh vegetables and good meat. Cooking because she wanted and not because it was cheapest. Through the window, the sun set over her tree-lined street, painting the sky in shades of gold and amber. The radio sat on the counter, a gift from a secondhand store, a gift from a patient man, a gift that had changed everything. Nina ran her hand over its smooth surface and whispered, "Thank you, Uncle Ray, for seeing me, for believing, for knowing I'd understand." And somewhere in the gathering dusk, she felt certain he heard.